Hi, today is January 8th, 2024, and here are my poems for the day. The first one is poem number 40 for the year, Ominous Monolith. The same morning last week, just before I took the picture of the balls and the Vietnam War memorial, I was struck by steam coming from a pipe casting a spell across 100-old slip. New York's first modern police station was designed in the neo-Italian Renaissance style. I read that it somewhat recalls the Palazzo Riccardi in Florence, but only to people who know what the Palazzo Riccardi in Florence looks like. What 100-old slip recalled to me was an ominous monolith, not quite like the one in 2001 A Space Odyssey, but not quite unlike it either. It looked pretty ominous to me that morning as the sun rose over the Hudson, but it turned out not to be an omen, or if it was, then whatever it was an omen of has not yet come to pass. Poem number 41, Junk Gelato. I feel like every gelato place in Manhattan offers artisanal gelato. I'm wondering if there's a place you can go for ordinary gelato, not made by artisans, or even junk gelato that just isn't any good at all. Or is that the kind of gelato they sell in supermarkets? Poem number 42, Stories to My Body. I tried to tell a story to my body. Once upon a time, I told my body there was a giant gelato made of junk. Not that one, my body said. That's too silly. Tell me a different one. In the land of the mystery salad, there lived a bowling ball made of sunshine, I started to say. No, thank you, said my body. That's too abstract. Could you try again, please? There once was a body, I began again, who didn't know what it wanted, but who knew what it didn't want. That's too biographical, said my body. How about if I tell you one? That sounds splendid, I said, and the body kept me up most of the night telling stories, and it felt very, very healthy to listen to my body. I really ought to do that more often. Poem number 43, Body as a Highway. She imagined her body as a highway, and she placed her consciousness into a very small automobile, like maybe 2 centimeters long. And she drove along the highway that was her body. She handled the curves with grace and made hairpin turns. At times she floored it and raced by certain parts. Other times she slowed down to barely a crawl and took in the beauty of the landscape. At one point she parked herself between her breasts and climbed to the top of the left one. Then she slid down and got back into the car just because she could. It was her body after all. The trip lasted 3 or 4 hours, but she felt as though she had barely scratched the surface. She would do this again and again because she knew she could never know her body completely. It kept changing as she kept changing, but she looked forward to her next ride along the highway that was her body. And last poem of the day, poem number 44, You Don't Want to Do the Math. You don't want to do the math because you want to be able to keep pretending you're getting a good deal. You don't want to do the math because you want to be able to keep pretending that what you get out of it is worth at least half of what you put into it. Because you want to be able to keep pretending you don't feel cheated. To keep pretending it's worth it. So you don't do the math, but the numbers keep hitting you in the face. And eventually, if you don't do the math does you. All right, that's it. Thank you. I appreciate you.